today at the Manchester Museum of Science and Industry to pour through the archives of the old Hacienda collection. We're going to go look at that now.
How does it feel when you treat me like you do? And you laid your hands upon me and told me who you are. And I thought I was mistaken, and I thought I heard you speak. Tell me, how do I feel? Tell me now, how should I feel? Now I stand here waiting.
This is Manchester. We do things differently here.
"24-Hour Party People," 2002 British film directed by Michael Winterbottom, charts the rise and fall of the Hacienda and the Factory Records. Tony Wilson was the owner of Thus Records, and he's played by Steve Coogan, who could be seen as the protagonist of the story. But he's not just a protagonist, he's a storyteller, the omnipresent, omniscient being who sees all, Tony's past, present and future.
I'm a minor character in my own story. This is a film about the music.
Tony addresses us, the audience, directly through the camera. In order to fully understand why he does this, I'm going to have to travel back in time.
It's my belief that history is a wheel.
The fourth wall is not something, it's not something you learn. Breaking the fourth wall is not something, it becomes an instinctive thing. It's ignoring the fourth wall as opposed to pretending it's not there, if that makes sense.
Brecht was influenced by the way Chinese performers acted in their plays. In Chinese theatre, the performer is aware of the audience and makes this known to them. But they also use the alienation effects, where the audience isn't meant to emotionally engage with the character. Steve Coogan's portrayal of Tony Wilson adheres to this effect. He portrays him in a way that's reminiscent to a documentary. He seems passionate about his subject, but yet he remains emotionally external to the dramatic proceedings. But there are morsels of emotion. In one scene, Tony says goodbye to Ian Curtis's body, quite an emotional moment. This question is this the realism of the film, or does it lie somewhere else?
Groucho Marx once said that the trouble with writing a book about yourself is you can't fool around. Why not? People fool around with themselves all the time.
Another Winterbottom film that similarly plays around with the conventions of the fourth wall is the 2005 adaptation of Tristram Shandy, a cock and bull story. Steve Coogan plays himself. Steve Coogan also plays Tristram Shandy, and when he's Tristram Shandy, he looks straight down a lens and completely breaks the fourth wall. The film constantly reminds us that it is a production. Brecht used to leave a curtain half drawn on a stage and showed what was going on in the background in between scene transitions. In the Cambridge Companion to Modernism, this was to remind us that the stage isn't a magical or mystical place, but it's actually part of the everyday world. The question here, though, is the curtain half drawn in Shandy's world, or is the curtain half drawn in Steve's world?
In some ways, by saying, yeah, we're making a film, that can actually make it more honest, because if you're pretending not to make a film, it's more dishonest if you say openly, yeah, we pretend to make a film, this is what the story's about, let's go into the story. I mean, is he playing himself or someone else? It doesn't really matter. It's like, the idea is that it's more the playfulness, it's the actual playfulness that's important, not kind of the character. None of the characters are really that three-dimensional, they're all like just kind of products of messing around with telling a story.
So I noticed in Brecht, I've been looking at how Chinese theatre influenced Brecht, and how the characters weren't trying to emotionally relate to the audience,
right,
but so the audience could soberly watch the events.
Yeah, I think it's nice with a film that you can sit back from it. Not necessarily soberly, but just enjoy the way it has fun. It's more about the movement between the different types of storytelling and having fun. It's not like at the end of it all, there's no big serious message. We're not trying to, unfortunately, we're not trying to revolutionise society. We're just trying to engage people in thinking about the story and thinking about how to tell a story.
Right.
Right, I better go.
Okay, thank you very much.
Say those calls.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I will. Yeah, thank you. Looking at what I took for 24-hour party people is to look at a culture, an experience, an era. The way Tony invites me into his world makes me feel part of the madness, part of the spirit of the Hacienda. It's what inspired me to come here to Manchester to look at the archived materials and to see the place where it's based on, to go to Oxford to meet the maker of the film. For me, that's where the realism lies, the urge to go out and explore the film further. This is the final scene of the film. When Tony looks up at the sky and sees God, and God looks like Tony. He then goes back to explain to his friends who he's just seen and what he looks like, and they ask, well, Tony, why did he look like you? He replies, well, if you'd spoken to him, he would have looked like you, but he didn't. He spoke to me, and he looked like me. And I believe this is a metaphor for realism. What I gain from a film may be different from what you gain. It's whatever resonates within yourself with the film. Now, as I talk to you through this lens, are you going to think about what you're going to do after this? Or will this just float over you, like God did over Tony?